Welcome to Level 1 Walkthrough.
Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 6 of Level 1 Walkthrough. I'm Tony.
And I'm Emad, and I have an awesome mic.
Yes, you do.
Thank
Go ahead.
you. Shout out to Tony for sending this awesome mic. I am so flippin' excited. I literally just hooked up the mic like 10 minutes ago, probably.
Yeah, you sound great.
So thank you so much. Hopefully,
course,
I sound a lot nicer and a lot crisper.
Yeah, and now it can be a little bit more where people can be able to just listen to it and be like, you know
Mhm.
what? Now I can understand who the hell this person is and what he's talking about.
Now they can hear me.
Exactly.
So anybody who's listening, just skip to episode 6. Forget all the hard work that we put into episode 1 through 5. Just skip straight ahead to 6.
Because now everything's going to be cleaner.
Yep.
And since you guys have already noticed, that's our intro now actually has. Go ahead and tell us who that person was.
Yeah, dude. So I grabbed her before we tucked her into bed,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Hey, I need your help with something." And she came, and I told her what to say, and I told her, what to say for an intro, and then what to say for an outro.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we can use that from here on out, and hopefully, you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's his daughter too. So we made it a little bit more personable for ourselves because that's exactly why we're doing this. Because this
Yep.
is really just a matter of us kind of reconnecting the things that we love, and it's like embracing all of that. So I mean, that's exactly why we're doing it. So
Mhm.
it's we're not trying to do something different. We're just trying to be ourselves.
Exactly.
So let me ask you, with your Red Dead Redemption, where are you in this?
You know what? I've been thinking about this,
Mhm.
and I think you might get upset. But
Oh my
here's the thing. Hang on. Pump the
Okay.
brakes.
Okay.
Pump the brakes.
Okay.
So I really like the game, right?
Okay.
But somehow I came across another game. It's called Path of Exile. Have you heard of this game?
Path of Exile. No.
So it's basically like a Diablo. It's an action RPG game, very
Okay.
similar to I would say to Diablo 2.
Okay.
And it's free to play.
Hmm.
And I got into it because I saw a trailer like for their next installment, like Path of Exile 2.
Hmm.
And I'm like, wow, this looks, pretty cool. I want to dink around in it for a little bit, and then I'll get back to Red Dead,
Right.
And I started playing it, and I've been hooked, man.
Okay.
Like, it's really addicting. Like, it has so much customization and, like with gear, and I'm still learning. Like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but
Okay.
it's really fun. I'm kind of torn because it's like, okay, I want to play Red Dead, but like this game is fun too. So
Okay.
maybe you can help me out. Maybe I do one day Red Dead and then another day Path of Exile. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, I hope Tony doesn't get mad at me because I'm taking a little break from Red Dead. But
Well,
I'm really enjoying it. It's not like I don't like the game or anything.
okay. So this game is kind of reminiscent towards like Diablo in the way that it's like what do you do mainly in the game?
So the gist of it, or the main point, is you kill bad guys, get better loot.
Okay.
You get something called gemstones, which
Okay.
it depends on your character. It could be like magic. It could be like a move for your warrior or whatever.
Okay.
But that's basically it. So I found a couple of guys online, and I've been playing with them. So they've been kind of showing me the ropes a little bit. I actually played with them last night for a couple of hours. But
Okay.
that's the gist of it. So kill bad guys, get better loot, so you can kill harder bad guys. And it has this story. It's kind of interesting. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what the heck's going on. But as far as Red Dead goes, I love that game. It's one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely going to go back, and I have to finish it. But
Of
I think
course.
the last I got to chapter 3.
Okay.
Oh, I remember another thing I was going to say about Red Dead.
Uh-huh.
Remember last time how I told you I want to be a good guy, because normally, like, the first playthrough,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just hard for me to be a bad guy.
Right. Right.
Well, I kind of broke that rule a little bit, because
I kind of figured, man, it's
it's
hard
tough.
to be the good guy. Yeah.
It's tough because it's like, okay, I'm going to do this side mission with John Marsh, but
Right.
he wants to rob a train. I'm
Right.
like, oh, okay, like, okay, I want to be good, but like, the game forces you to, like, it puts you in situations where you kind of have to be bad.
Right.
So it's like I'm like sticking up people, like, give me your money. If they don't give it to
Right.
me, then I smack them. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god, this is so horrible. And then I ran into a couple of times where someone witnessed me doing something bad, and it's like I had to
It's
track down the guy, and
exactly what I told you.
I had to kill him.
I told you that's exactly what
I'm
happens.
like, oh, I'm turning into a bad guy. So
Yeah.
it's like I'm trying to be good, but there's a lot of stages or missions in the game where it kind of like forces you to play as a bad guy, like you have to play as a bandit. I
Right.
think that they did that intentionally, unless I'm
Right.
just picking the wrong side missions. But
No, you're not. You're not. I mean, that's the whole thing about the actual game itself is that you're slowly it toes that line between what is right and to be able to protect yourself because
mhm,
when you don't do that, you have a bounty that basically these marshals will go after you, and it stays like that until you actually go and you basically have to pay it off. And if it becomes like mine got up to like $200, and that's a lot of money.
mhm,
It took a while for me to accumulate that $200 and to be able to pay off my bounty. But there was a split second where I was like, well, do I even want to pay that? Because I can use it towards something else.
mhm.
So it's like it kind of toes that line. But yeah, I mean, that's the hard thing about that game is that it really kind of like it gets you to the point of like what decisions do you make because sometimes you don't have it doesn't seem like you have a choice. But in that train sequence, when I'm not sure if people have actually hopefully people have played this game and it's several hours in but there's a
Yeah.
sequence where you rob a train and there's a whole sequence of how they get the train to get off the tracks and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Now when that happened when they opened up the door to that one section of the train that they wanted to get into, what did you do with the people that came out? Did you let them go?
Yeah, I let him go.
Okay, so
Mhm.
I didn't let them go
Oh, snap.
because you're not because I felt that something might happen that like when I'm leaving because once you finish the mission you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
I figured at one point that's gonna come back to me, so I'm like, nah, I gotta let it go. I gotta let them. I'm sorry, I felt bad,
They had
but hey,
families, Tony.
it's okay.
They
It's okay.
they had families and children.
Hey man, that's the way that's the way that it works, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
So that's great. Well, I don't. I thought honestly, I thought what you were gonna say is that there's something wrong with the game that you didn't like, and I was gonna. That's why I kind of got a little jumpy. That's what
I
I
can
thought you were
tell.
gonna.
I
But
can
that's
tell.
but that's okay. It is that's the one thing about Red Dead Redemption is that the second one, even the original, uh, that one is just such a good game that when you start playing it, you want to finish it. But the one thing about it is that you don't want to finish it because once it's finished, you're gonna have to like play other games.
Mhm.
But the brilliance with that game is that the first one, Red Dead, the original, that one that one actually doesn't really have an ending. It does, but then the game continues in such a way where you just didn't.
Spoiler
It's not,
alert.
well, I'm not giving away the ending, but it's basically it's a continuation, and you don't really realize it until you actually play it. So
Mhm.
there might be something like that in this one, but it's still going to get you to the point of you actually finishing the actual game.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna finish it. Like,
Okay.
it's such an amazing game. I love the graphics. I love the gameplay. I mean, it's basically Red Dead Redemption One, but
Yeah.
with better graphics and more game mechanics.
Yeah. It looks.
Definitely.
I bet it plays a lot better. It's
Oh
smoother.
my gosh, yeah, a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Um, Remember a while ago when I told you that my coworker was telling me about it, and he said he didn't like it because there's so many small things that you had to worry
Yes.
about.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it, man. It's
Yeah.
cool. I get to customize his hairstyle and his beard and his
Everything.
clothes, and like you have to make sure your horse is okay. So
Right.
it's like I'm enjoying every aspect of it. Like I'm trying to find something negative about it, but
Right.
it's really hard. I can't. So,
It's tough to find. I mean, there's obviously nitpicks within
mhm,
the actual game, but overall, the story and the gameplay and just the environment that you're playing in,
mhm,
that whole sandbox of what they created is it's just, it's enthralling to be inside that because inside that actual game because
mhm.
you want to just stick around and like just do things that are just random, just walking, getting on your horse. Have you done that where you've gotten off your horse and actually you're towing you're holding on to your the horse while you're walking? Have you done that?
Yeah, yeah. I led the horse.
Yeah,
I thought that
that's
was pretty cool.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool that you can do that, and it slows down the game even further. But it's
Mhm.
like you're enjoying that. You're taking in more of the actual game. Yeah.
You know what? Some funny things have happened in the game where
Okay.
I'm not used to it, but I'm kind of glad they implemented it. and
Right.
that's the I don't know what the technical term is, like or collision detection or something like
Yeah.
that. In
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
first Red Dead, it's like I can ride the horse and I might bump into somebody, and it's like it's okay, I just keep going, right?
Right.
But with this game, it's like I have somebody, I'm helping out a stranger, and they're
Right.
riding with me, and it's like okay, I'm gonna bump into this guy, and I'll just keep going. But it turns out like my guy flies off the
Yeah. He
horse.
flies off. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, holy crap, like that's crazy. Like they put so
Yeah.
much detail into it.
Yeah. That actually happened to me in the straight. One of the people I was trying to help, they died because they fell. Fell down a hill and they died.
the
It wasn't.
lady
It
I was
wasn't.
trying to
It
help,
wasn't my fault.
like the lady I was trying to help, I didn't kill her, but she got so upset she wouldn't let me help her anymore. She's like, "Fine, I'll just walk to town by myself." I'm like, "It was an accident, lady."
Like it's
But
not my fault.
she wasn't having it. She wasn't having it.
Wow.
Yeah, but wonderful game. I'm definitely going to get back into it. But right now, Path of Exile, I don't know what it is about it. It's just a really cool game.
Well, why don't you maybe put it for a week, play one game for a week, and then go back and play the other one for the week.
It's not a bad idea.
Maybe section off that way, because that way you can at least get a week's in, because then that might be enough for you to be okay. Because I'm sure it's a grind for you to go through parts of the actual game, so it takes a while to get stuff. So
Yeah,
then you can hold on to that and then go to the next week, and then maybe you'll play Red Dead a little bit longer than that week.
that's a good idea. I was
Yeah,
thinking that, or like maybe flip days. Like one night I'll play this game, and then next night I might play that game. So
yeah.
I'll see. But I guess that's a good problem to have, where
It,
you
it
know
is that
you
is a
have
good
multiple games.
that is
Or-
a good problem to have. My problem right now is playing Death Stranding and
Oh,
continuing
here
to
we
play
go.
this game.
Here we go. Before we started talking, you were hyped, and I don't know if it was a good hype or a bad hype. So I'm dying to find out. You told me that you had rented the game and you've been playing
Yes,
it.
yes.
So I'm dying to hear. Like, what are your thoughts about it? What do you think?
Okay, so first off, this whole game itself, when playing like the first 30 minutes to an hour, you start to get a sense of like what this game kind of is inspiring to become. Like the
Hmm.
world that they've created is just so unique. The thing about it is just it doesn't seem like this game should really exist because it's so different. It's different in the sense of like what you're doing, as far as like you're carrying this amount of like cargo, this amount of materials that people need in certain regions in order for you to basically connect parts of the United States together. There's
Hmm.
this whole technology that they have where they're talking about this network to be able to connect people, and these things called BTs that are like these kind of entities that are not necessarily they talk about life and death, that the ending of someone's life when they die, like there's a kind of like an entity that stays it basically took over the entire world. And I've been playing the game for like maybe 6 hours, and I'm barely kind of scratching the surface. They give you so much information about what's going on, about
Hmm.
their rules and the stuff that they have, and I barely get a grasp of kind of like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting, but it's so much.
Are you enjoying it? I mean, like, are you enjoying it so far? Or what are your initial thoughts?
Well,
I especially want to know about the gameplay. Like how.
that's the thing too, is that it's the gameplay itself is just one of those things where there was one mission where I had to actually travel from one point to another.
Hmm.
And the unique thing about the game is that while you're actually like you get a let's say you get a mission, they're like, hey, I need you to deliver this stuff to here. There's a reason why your character does what he does. So there's things about him that make him unique. So there is a reason on why he does this. The only thing that I'm having trouble with is that the technology that they have is so advanced of like what they're talking about. It just seems really it seems unusual that they need a person like this to carry stuff,
Hmm.
physically carry these materials to one point to another when they have technology that might be able to send stuff instantaneous to another place. Like
Hmm.
they don't need physical things. Like they have this network where they can be able to they can do anything practically. Like you get a like I got a grenade, a semblance of a grenade that's my urine that I can use as a grenade.
Did you say
So
urine?
I said urine number one, and you can use and there's a grenade called number two.
Oh my god.
I I'm not making this up.
Wow.
And also, there's another grenade that you can get by basically when your character takes a shower,
Hmm.
whatever's on your body, your skin, or whatever, they create another kind of grenade for you.
That's weird,
So
dude.
I I'm telling you, man, this game is just, it seems like it shouldn't exist. Like what I'm telling you is like, it seems like the concept of like making this game is so unique that it just seems like I don't think people are ready for this type of game just because of the fact of what you're doing. I haven't even really gotten into the actual gameplay itself because there's so
Hmm.
much to it.
Hmm.
Carrying around your stuff has its own challenges to it. The thing about it is that there was a time, that mission that I was mentioning, it took me 10 minutes in real time to trek from one point to another. I was going about maybe 2 miles. I literally took about 10 minutes for me to trek to one point to another. You have to carry the amount of like luggage, the cargo that they give you.
Hmm.
Your character, if you don't hold the left trigger and right trigger down, those act as your arms. So when you don't do that and you have so much weight, your character tumbles from left to right. He sways.
Hmm.
So you have to balance the weight by holding on to your harness. So he like holds his, you know how like when you hold your backpack on your
Hmm.
on it on the actual like close to your shoulders
Hmm.
or next to your chest. That's what he does. He holds it so then he can balance himself while he's walking. So you have to trek around these environments, passing little rivers. You have stamina. You have to eat food. So it takes its time for you to get to stuff. And once you get there, it just it starts to give you other missions to go to, and you have to do other things. And I'm like, I don't know if this is enough for me to play. Like I got frustrated to a point where I was okay. The one thing I can advise anybody if they've been playing the game for like, they're barely gonna get it, whatever. There's a section in the very beginning of the game, about maybe 2 hours in, they give you a motorcycle. Now you have to fix it up. You have to figure out a way to like regenerate it
Hmm.
and then get it to working proper. I got the motorcycle. I went to one mission and it was perfect because I didn't have to lug all this crap around. I didn't have to walk. And it changed the dynamics of the game. I was like, okay, I can get into this. So then when I was playing the game and then I was going on my next mission, there is a bridge that the other characters can build things within the game that you don't see them playing, but they leave like bridges, they leave little marks that have like kind of like signs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like it's got a little multiplayer element to it, but you never see these other characters. But they leave like structures behind to help you. So like sometimes they'll leave a ladder in a certain area, and you can use that ladder to trek over a little river or a canal or something. So I went over this one bridge, and my motorcycle fell into the river, and I lost the motorcycle. My
Oh.
character, when he fell into the river, most of my cargo fell off of me, and it's rolling down the river, and I'm going down with it. So I got stuck because the river opens up into this big ocean,
Hmm.
and I couldn't do anything. Like my stuff got stuck on an invisible wall, and then I got pushed out a little bit further, and then I got stuck by an invisible wall too. You can't swim forward. You can only kind of like when you're like if you're going down a river, you can kind of you know paddle to the left or the right to like guide you.
Hmm.
If you get all the way to one end into a corner like an invisible wall, you can't do anything. You can't like
You
swim
can't swim
forward.
normally? Like, that sounds
No,
weird.
no, because you have that cargo stuff on your back, so it basically puts you on your back, and you can only swim that way.
Oh.
So I have I'm telling you, like I have the gameplay that I've recorded. So I'm gonna start posting this on the YouTube channel so people will see, and I'll tell you exactly what episode that is. And I'm sure it's like episode maybe 2 or 3,
Hmm.
and I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about, and you can see exactly what happened. I end up having to just turn the game off and then restart it because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't kill myself. I couldn't do anything.
So
I
was it
was
a glitch, or was that an actual part of the
no,
game?
that's part of the game. You can so when you're crossing over like a little riverbank, it doesn't like there's no depth in telling you if it's deep enough because if it gets deep enough, your character has like a safety thing where if he falls into the river, your suit kind of creates a like a floaty, like it creates like a flotation device in your suit,
Hmm.
so it keeps you from drowning. But while it does that, you're also going down the actual river itself. There's it's current, like the current will take you down, and you basically are just on your back and you're kind of paddling left to right to get to the edge of the river. But if you can't do that, you're going straight down and the water opens up.
Let me ask you this:
Yes.
do you think it has potential, or you're just like, oh god, I wonder if this is gonna get any worse?
Well, just that alone, I don't know if it's enough.
Hmm.
The other parts of it that have these like entities that appear, it does like there's parts of it where this little thing that has a little sensor will start actually activating and it'll tell you the direction of where these things are, but you can't see them until they get close enough to you and then they kind of appear. And if they get to you, it's kind of like this puddle river kind of black goo comes around you and then like these entities come out of the goo and they try to drag you and they try to pull you down. So it's kind of cool, but I don't know because I'm like maybe 6 to 7 hours into the game. I don't know if it's enough for me to play because it's just so different. And it's like I'm spending 10 minutes to go to one point or 15 minutes to another point, and then it tells you, oh, you need to go back to this other place to do it. Because not only that, you can only do one mission at a time because the amount of weight that the cargo that they give you, you only have a certain amount of weight that you can be able to carry.
Hmm.
If you can carry more, but your character is going to lug all that stuff and it's going to take forever. He's going to take these long strides and he can't walk normally. He's going to slow down. So it's just not worth it.
I wonder. I guess you'll have to give us another update. Like, I'm sure you're gonna play it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing if it's gonna get better or not. Are you just gonna be like, you know what? I gave this game a chance and I don't like it. Like the story sounds interesting, but the gameplay, it's just
I just
it's
it's
weird,
just
or maybe it's not your cup of tea. And it sounds
it's
like it's probably not my cup of tea either,
it,
from what
it
you're telling me.
I mean, it's one of those extremely slow burn type of games, but the unique thing about it is that the the character. Remember how we talked about this, where it's just like I don't know if this game, what the concept of this game really works on what it's doing, because it seems like your character already is aware of what's happening. Like I thought it would be interesting if this were to happen to the character where he wakes up or he's part of something, this organization, and they don't tell him anything about what's happened,
Hmm.
and he's exploring this world while you're exploring it and you don't know what's happening, but you know that there's danger lurking around. So I thought there would be something cool, but the game already tells you everything. Like it kind of the story has their world has been continuing for like maybe 100 years with this thing going on. I really don't know. Their
Hmm.
technology is just so advanced. So it seems like this game could have worked on different levels instead of it being on Earth, where it could have been like you're on another planet. Because the graphics, the character animations,
Hmm.
the Norman Reedus or Reedus, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, that's right.
he he is incredible. Like the facial animation that they got on this character is unreal. The environment, like there's a part where in the very beginning when I'm trekking through the river and I turn the camera around, I can see his expression while he's holding the luggage down. You can see the amount of like stress that's on his face while he's moving through the river while carrying all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's a small little thing that you really can't see unless you actually look for it, but
Hmm.
it's there. Like you show that he shows that kind of like he's tired and like you could tell that he's using his body to carry all this stuff, and it's interesting. I just don't know, man. You look silly carrying all this cargo, man. It looks weird.
To me, it sounds like the story sounds interesting. I wish they would have made it into a movie
It
more
seems it
more
seems
than
like
a
it
game.
could have.
Like if I were to play that, I think I'd probably play it just for the story. So
Right.
far, what you're telling me, like the gameplay doesn't sound that fun, to be honest.
It's
Like
it's
I'd
not.
rather play Red Dead Redemption 2 or Path of Exile or something where more things are going on,
Right.
especially with the gameplay. And
Right.
and I'm there's just this is my opinion since I don't have that much time to game. But if I want to pick a game, I want to really enjoy the gameplay or
Right.
the actual
Right.
game itself. So you'll have to give us another update, like if
I'm
it
I
gets any better or
I mean,
it just sucks.
just the thing is that kind of like the reserves that we had when we were talking about this is exactly the things that we're actually concerned about, which has been the thing that people have been talking about, that they're concerned about the actual game. Like it seems like it's so unique in its style and its gameplay that it's like the people that were developing, because I did a little bit of research, like because I'm interested in like knowing like if this was the final product of what they wanted, like what was the original concept of what they wanted, or is this correct? Is this exactly what they wanted? Because
Mhm.
you got to imagine, man, that these like quality assurance testers, they have to go through the game vigilantly in order to make sure it all works. Because
Mhm.
your character is trekking up mountains, the character has to actually his placement on the animation has to be correct, where he'll move from side to side, he'll place his body correctly based on what he's doing. So it has to work. So they had to have seen that it's like, hey, it's taking you 20 minutes to do one mission, and you're just walking. Like,
Y-
there's nothing in between. It's just they had to have seen that, and they had to have tested it, and that's why I'm curious on: is this the final product of what they want, or was there something missing? Because the game, from what I was reading, it has been in development for 3 years.
mhm. You know what? I applaud Kojima for making a creative game different. You know, it's not a shooter. It's not a game that we've played before.
I know,
So I
I
applaud
know,
him for that. Like
right?
I like this creativity, you know, and he took a chance, but I don't know. It sounds like I don't know how it resonated with the rest of the gaming community. You know, did people really love it? You know, or maybe it's like a love hate kind of thing. You either really loved it or you just really didn't like it. You know,
I
maybe
I
there's
I
no in between.
I don't know, but it. You know what it kept reminding me of?
What's that?
Did you ever see a movie called Final Fantasy: The Spirit Within?
Yes, I remember that movie.
Okay, you remember those entities, those spirits that
Hmm.
came out that you can only see them like if they use that character Aki. She used kind of her gun to like shoot up a flare
Hmm.
in the city, and then if those little particle things touch the spirits, like you can see them like physically.
Hmm.
Okay, so the game kind of reminds me of that. Like there's entities out there that you can't see. And as they try to get you, like they try to like this puddle comes around you and they try to grab you and try to pull you down. It kept reminding me of that. So I don't know if you have weapons like that to be able to like detect these things, because in the beginning you can't see them. Your little arm thing, that little helper thing,
Hmm.
that thing's the only thing that can detect them. Your character can detect them too, because there's signs. Like when it starts raining, that's when you know that you might be in danger. So I just don't know, man. But the one thing that's really interesting is that they have Guillermo del Toro
Hmm.
in the game itself. Not Guillermo del Toro. I'm sorry. What's his name? Oh, dude, I forget the guy that directed. Yeah, Guillermo del Toro. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
sorry.
that's him.
Yeah,
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 you're right.
yeah, yeah. So they have him in there, and he's one of the actual one of the characters too. And then they even have one that's really interesting that caught my eye in the very beginning. His name is Nicholas Winden Ref.
Hmm.
It's he's the one that directed that movie Drive with Ryan Gosling.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so
I
it's just
haven't
like
seen that movie, but
oh,
it
dude,
looks
that's a
good.
good, it's a it's an awesome movie. But that
Okay.
caught my eye, and I'm just like, because it seems like this game could have actually been a movie,
Hmm.
because it just seems like it you kind of seem like you're like an astronaut trekking through another planet when you have a little bit of cargo. Like if the game wasn't on Earth, I'd be like, wow, that's kind of cool, because you can do so much with being on another planet. Like it doesn't have to be world based, Earth based.
You know what? I just thought of something,
Yeah,
just to kind of give an analogy,
yeah,
or it's kind of like okay, Lord of the Rings, right? Hopefully, you've
yes,
seen these movies.
yes, yes, of course.
So imagine if the movie was great, like I really enjoyed it. Imagine
Yeah,
if they made a video game and it was mainly you and the two hobbits
yeah,
walking. It's just that they're just like traveling
right.
and it doesn't have anything else, but like there's so many things that they can do in that world, but they
Yeah,
chose just to have them walking, and you're
yeah,
walking with Samwise Ganji, and
yeah,
that's the main part of the game. That's what this reminds me of. Like if you take a step back and look at the whole picture, like
yes,
the story sounds cool. Like they could have gone so many different routes as far as gameplay goes, but
right.
they decided to go where you're like a glorified delivery guy,
I mean,
like that's how I
this
see it. Do you
this
kind
is
of see it the
this is
same way, or what do you think?
yeah. I mean, this is Kojima's, like, this is his project. Like Sony, I'm sure they were just like, you out here's all the money, do whatever you want, because earned the right to be able to do whatever he wants.
Hmm.
And now that he's like in his 50s, it kind of it's that's why I wanted to play it, because how many more games is he going to be making? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like it's like you should be able to like try to like embrace this game and try to play it. But I'm I'm so frustrated in it because there's so many cool things that could be in this game, but your character doesn't have. One thing that kind of got me is that your character can't talk to anybody when he's out and about. He only talks to himself, and he talks to himself out loud. Like one time he'll just say he's already repeated himself, and this is like in the
Hmm.
first hour. He's like, um, uh, he goes left, get one foot at a time or something like that, and he says it a couple times, and I'm like, man, you're already repeating yourself, and it's been like maybe 2 hours into the game. I'm like, man, I've heard that this game is like 60 hours.
Do you think it could have been more interesting? Maybe it's suffering from the same issue that Metal Gear Solid 5 had, where there's nothing interesting in between the missions. You know, like how I used to complain,
Yeah,
like from the
yeah.
starting point to the base, like there's just a lot of running, but there's nothing in between. Maybe if they put more NPCs or made the world a little bit more lively, where you can
Right.
interact with different people or things or situations,
Well, that's
maybe
the
it'd make
whole
it a little bit more interesting.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that the game is great to look at, but when you're actually going through the environment, it doesn't seem like there's any other life or any other people that are encompassing what you're doing, other than these like stragglers that are kind of like these scavengers that will kind of go after you. That's a whole nother bag of issues, dude. That I haven't even gotten to that point.
Hmm.
But it seems like if your character is like this, they call him a porter. He's a wait he travels. He's basically like a delivery guy,
Hmm.
and he's special, so he can carry these things. He's involved. His character is a little relentless. He doesn't want to, he's not relentless, but he's kind of like he doesn't want to actually continue doing what he's doing, but he ends up, his character, he has some sort of motivation to do what he's doing,
Hmm.
but he's not really wanting to be involved in this game, which is kind of interesting in the beginning. But while you're traveling, you can pick up lost loot and lost cargo that you can pick up, and then you can send it to somebody, a distribution center, that will take the materials, and you can use stuff with it. So you earn actual things for it. So there's something to it, but there's no other like people that have been lugging stuff that I've encountered yet, where it would make it seem like if you encounter other people that are there that are just trying to survive and you're passing right through them,
Hmm.
or you've seen people that have died and they're trying to like carry stuff, like I thought that would be kind of interesting
Yeah.
to add stuff in between, other than the scavengers and the BTs, those little spirits.
Hmm.
That's the only two things that happen in between the game, other than you having to trek through the environment to get to one point to another. And I'll end on this. My frustration is just on that, but the biggest thing is the menu is so convoluted. There's so many things that are inside this menu options that just annoy me. Waypoints are just it's just a clutter mess. But you have to expect that with Kojima. You
Yeah.
notice that his menu options haven't really been optimized to be streamlined. You kind of have to dig into it in order to actually figure it out. It's all there, but you have to figure it out. The game doesn't really kind of it doesn't hold your hand. It kind of just tells you what to do,
Hmm.
and then you figure it out. Like it kind of gives you reminders, but it doesn't hold your hand, which I like. But the menu is just another thing that really kind of infuriates me, because you have to trek through these environments. The map is a bird's eye view of where you're going.
Hmm.
There's no three-dimensional map that pulls up that you can actually set your designation to where you're going. Like you can create a waypoint. You can
Hmm.
go from one point to another, and you're like, oh, I have to go over this river. I have to go up this hill or this big part of the mountain. You can't tell that because you're looking at it from a bird's eye view from the map. If the
Hmm.
map had an ability to do in a 3D render, where you can turn it around. You'd be like, okay, I'm here. I need to go here. Okay, I'm gonna have to go up this area. Maybe I should bring a ladder,
Yeah.
or maybe I should bring rope. These are things that I noticed that I'm just like they could have easily put this in, and I don't understand why it's not in the game, because the game is all about you trekking from one point to another. It's like that should be perfect. And there's people that have gone through and tested this game, and I just don't see why why that wasn't in there. That's what I'm so curious on. is this the final project? Because it's so divisive. There's some people that love it, and there's a lot of people that just don't like it. And it's like the people in between are trying to give it a chance.
Mhm.
And I I look at it and I'm just like, this game doesn't seem like it should exist, but it does. And I want to give it its time. Maybe I'm just frustrated because the beginning, the first initial response that I get are kind of a little negative. But
Mhm.
the world itself, the game is interesting. I don't know if it's enough for me to keep playing.
Um, I'm just thinking about everything that you've said so far,
Yeah,
and maybe this was his plan all along. To make a game like this, where maybe it was meant to be more of like a relaxing game, even though it sounds like you've been
maybe,
getting frustrated with it.
maybe,
But like the
maybe.
idea itself, it's okay. You're just walking. You're carrying cargo. He's done a lot of action games. Mainly Metal Gear.
Right,
It's like a lot of action and stealth. So
right.
maybe he wanted to change it up a little bit and
I
make it a
mean, it is.
relaxing game.
I mean, it is different. There is music that cues up in the very beginning of the game when you're actually going through the first beginning parts of it.
Hmm.
It does cue up some music, and that's where I started looking at it. I'm like, wow, this game looks interesting. This looks cool. And then the music went away, and then the character was just trekking along, and I'm like, okay. And then I started noticing, I'm like, I listen to my own music in the background because there's nothing else going on. Your character says things, and but he's just talking to himself. And there's other people in this world that are like part of like this centralized America that they're trying to rebuild. And it doesn't seem like you're involving yourself in the regular people, other than the people that are basically handing you the missions. So I don't. That's what I'm saying is that I don't know if it's enough for me to continue playing.
Hmm.
I want to give it its due time. I want to give a real good initial like response to it because I don't want to just be negative.
Hmm.
But those things are there and they're glaring because it's so weird that this game exists, but I want to try to give it its time. And remember that part that I told you it looked a little silly when you tried to actually do stealth with all that cargo stuff on there, and then remember how you said, "Oh, you can take that stuff off."
Hmm.
Okay, that's partially true. You can actually do that, but you have to go into your menu and unload all of your cargo, and then it just gets dispersed around you. So
What?
you can't take your backpack off and then put it down in one motion. You have to go into your menu, drop all your stuff, and then it all falls down, and then it's just you, and then you can trek around and you can hide, you can do stealth and take down these scavenger guys.
That sounds kind of lame, dude. Like they
But
should
you
have made
but
it easier where like, okay, all you invested your time, putting the cargo together or whatever and make it balance. Like they should have
yeah.
made it a little bit easier where, okay, like I'm just going to push a button so I can set the cargo down and then deal with those guys that you're talking about, like the bad
Right,
guys.
right.
But like,
Or like if you're doing the same thing, like if you get surrounded by these BTs and these spirit things around you, what if there's one button where you just take your shit off and run? Because you can't do that if you have all that cargo. You have to basically you have to go slow because you can't move that fast.
mhm.
So if there was one button, you could take that stuff off and put it down, and then just kind of get away from the BTs and then maybe come back. I don't know. There could be something in there, but I'm just like, that's where these small little ideas and these small little things they bother me, and I'm trying not to, but it's there.
All right, so we've been bashing this game for the past
No,
41 minutes.
no, I,
One out of
I'm back.
10. What do you
I'm
think? One
bashing.
out of 10?
I'm bashing it. I'm bashing it because I rented it.
That's
Now,
okay, and it's your
now
opinion. Yeah,
if I
and I'm
bought it,
agreeing with you,
that'd
dude.
be different. If I bought it, it'd be totally
Oh
different.
man,
I
if you
don't
bought it,
know.
would you have been pissed off, or how
I
would you feel if you actually bought the game?
I I I I don't know. I don't know. I think I'd be pretty upset.
Wow.
I'd be pretty upset. I'd just be like, after that happened, after that incident happened where I fell into the river and
Mhm.
my crap fell in the water.
Yeah.
After that, I was just like, I don't know if I want to continue playing this game. And I'm not just saying this example. Like when I'm talking about this, I have it recorded, so I'm gonna post this on the YouTube channel, and I will tell you specifically where that happened. And whoever plays this game, if you do play it, that part where you get your that motorcycle for the first time, cherish that motorcycle, because in the beginning that's the only thing that allows you to be able to trek faster to where you need to go. But hang on to it like it's your child, because if you lose that thing, you're going to notice how quickly you're going to miss it. Because when it fell into the river, I tried to figure out if I can get into the water and retrieve it, and
Hmm.
you can't. I thought maybe I can craft another motorcycle. You can't.
Oh wow! So if you would have continued, that's it. You would have just lost that motorcycle forever.
No, I did lose the motorcycle. It fell in the river. It fell into the deep area part of the river, and
That's
I
what I'm
couldn't get to
saying.
it. Yeah,
So you lost it. That's it.
that's it. And I was in between. I was in between a mission, and
Wow.
the game has the gall to show you vehicles in these bases that you go to,
Hmm.
but you can't use them.
Well, maybe you just have to wait a little bit, and then you can just order another one or something.
Why?
Why?
Why does it matter?
That's it. You
I'm
lost
still.
it, dude. You're
I,
the one who dropped it in the river.
I know. I anyone that plays it, if you get that motorcycle, cherish it with your life, because it is such it is such a thing that you need to hang on to, because it makes everything a little bit easier. And when that happened, I end up having to trek maybe 15 minutes to my mission, and I was just like, I want my bike back. And then at the end of that mission, the character says, the character that I'm dropping the stuff off to, he's like, "Oh, I have a special gift for you."
Mhm.
And my first response was, "Oh my god, you're gonna give me my motorcycle, aren't you?" He
Nope.
gives he gives me a fucking hat,
What?
a baseball hat, and I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, I lost my motorcycle, and you're giving me a hat?" And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I was kind of pulling my hair for a second. I'm like, are you serious? It's like, I don't care about this hat. Give me a motorcycle. Give me a vehicle. Like, I want that from the very beginning, because you can create something with a vehicle where you can't go up a certain part of the mountain. So you leave your bike and you have to go up and come down. Give the character something, but that whole idea that you're carrying all this thing, that's the creative decision that they wanted. That's why I'm curious on, is this exactly what they wanted? Because it's going to be so divisive for people playing this game, because it's so different. That's what I'm saying.
I think it is what they wanted because that was the final release. Like that. That's how the game is. You know. Like.
Well, I mean, there's concepts that they try to implement within the game that are different. But like we talked about, there might have been like like kind of like a co-op part of the game in the beginning, but it didn't work. They wanted to focus on your main character. That could have been it,
Hmm.
but we don't know. There could have been other parts of installments within the game that they wanted, but they end up cutting because they couldn't flesh it out. That happens all the time in game development. So
Hmm.
there are other parts to it, but it doesn't seem like there's. It seems like this is exactly what they wanted. That's what it seems to me. I'm asking these questions, but I think I know the answer. I think this is exactly what they wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right.
I don't know.
You know, I was. You know, I'm thinking about it too, and thinking about the game based off
Mhm,
of how you're telling me,
mhm.
and I think I would get lonely playing it. Like, okay, there's no music. You're by yourself. It's not a co-op game.
No,
Like, I'd feel a little lonely. You know. Like.
it kind of does that. Like there's a part where the camera pulls away from the character and you
Hmm.
get to see more of the actual landscape. That was really interesting, because it really kind of gives you another perspective of like how big the game is,
Hmm.
like the world itself. They did that in the very beginning, but now the camera is stuck on me very closely and it doesn't pull away. Like, you know how like there's a cinematic camera that you can
Hmm.
switch in Red Dead?
Yeah.
They don't. I wish they had something like that in this game, because it would be perfect for it. Like if the camera can pull away like 100 meters away from you, and you can see the world, the landscape even wider,
Hmm.
and you can still actually see the character moving around, that would be cool. And then you can zoom back down. It can do like cinematic like movements where it focuses on the character's face for a second and then it pulls away. Like you can make it interesting, and games have done that. Red Dead does that, where they create a little cinematic like camera for you where it switches and you can control it. You can switch to the next camera. It's like an action shot that they would continue doing.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, you'll just have to update us like maybe the next 5 or 10 hours that you play.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be interested in hearing, if it's getting better for you or if you still feel the same about it. If I can guess, I would say that you're probably going to feel the same about it. Like,
I
yeah,
might,
maybe you'll have more gear or you can update stuff, but like the core gameplay, it's probably
I
going to be
might.
the same.
You might be absolutely right. I do not know, but this is kind of where I think I'm gonna want to give it maybe 15 or maybe 20 hours.
Hmm.
I would give it maybe 20 hours, and at that point, I think it's almost close to the end, of like at least maybe closer, around maybe 40% of the game. If I can get to the halfway point, I don't even know if I can make it 30 hours. If the game's 60 hours, I don't
Hmm.
know if I can do that because it just doesn't seem like a game that I would want to be invested in playing because the world is great. The character of what you're doing is kind of interesting. The
Hmm.
world that they've created just seems like it's so interesting. But I think if they would have lent itself to some mystery where your character doesn't know what's happening and it's happening while you're playing the game, that would keep it more exciting because then you can explore these worlds, you can explore these structures and these buildings with other people, and you're just like, why are people in this area and they're not over here? Like, why is it so abandoned? Why is this happening? Like you can play with that idea, and you don't. You're basically like a fish out of water concept where you don't know what's happening. To everybody else this is normal, but for you, you have no idea what's going on, kind of like The Walking Dead, where Rick wakes up in the hospital
Hmm.
after the zombie apocalypse has already happened, and he's experiencing all this stuff for the very beginning. He's like, what the hell's happening? To other people, it's this is normal, but to him, he's this isn't normal. Like this, that would play into the game and make it a little bit more interesting because that would invest you into wanting to continue playing because you're just like, what the hell's going on? What are these spirit things? What are these entities that are popping up?
Like, it would create more of a mystery for you, so you can
Exactly,
discover things as like the
exactly,
character does. That makes sense.
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would
that's
make
a
it more fun.
and that's the thing too is that's a cool idea. Like, let me we'll finish it on this because I'm taking the whole time with this, but I'm gonna leave you with this.
Hmm.
I'm just I'm not just knocking on this game. I'm just saying that there could have been ideas for this. So think of this. What if your character, let's say this was happening, your character is the same person. Let's say he's on a ship, like a spaceship, and the ship crash lands on another planet, and parts of your cargo and parts of debris of the actual ship, disperse all over the planet,
Hmm.
and then your ship crashes, and you have to find a way to trek from one point to another to grab your cargo in order for you to build your spaceship back up again. That is the same kind of idea of what you're doing with the game, but now you're making it more interesting where the game itself, like the world that you're creating, is another planet. So it can be whatever you want with it. You can play with that idea. The same thing you're doing where you're trekking from one point to another, you can encounter all these weird things that are happening in this world where it's normal to everybody else, but not to you. I've already created something that's more enticing and more involved than what you're doing. And this is just an idea.
That does sound more interesting. So at the moment, you don't like. It doesn't sound like you're too vested in the idea. Like I really don't care, kind of thing.
I
Moving cargo from one place to another. For
I
this
don't.
person, like you don't feel like it's part of a bigger thing, or
I.
or like
I
an
mean,
incentive.
there. I mean, there is something to it. I mean, there is something to this game of what they're creating. I think that's why I need to give it at least a fair assessment by giving it at least, I don't know, maybe I would say like maybe 20 hours.
Hmm.
I'm maybe like 8 hours in, maybe. So I think I want to give it like another 10 hours and see where I stand because I I don't know. I don't know.
All right,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Next time we do this, just let us know where you're at. And I'm
Okay,
thinking you're still going to feel the same, but I guess you'll let us know. We'll
I will. I will.
I
I
hope you
will.
enjoyed though. Like, I'm disappointed because this game was so hyped. I love Hideo Kojima. I love the Metal Gear series.
I know,
Like,
man.
I was
I know.
expecting so much from this game, but ever since I saw that first trailer, like I didn't really see anything else. And even what you're telling me,
Right.
like to make it sound more interesting, and
Right.
I'm so disappointed right now. I was
I
hyped and I was hyped and excited at the beginning of this podcast, but now I'm
Yeah.
just like I'm disappointed and I'm bitter for
Well,
you.
you should.
I didn't even
Well,
play the game yet.
well, you shouldn't. Okay. Well, don't be
I'm
bitter
bitter.
because you got. try to think about it this way. Like I said, this game could potentially not, it shouldn't really exist. And for Kojima, for the games that he's always made very obscure kind of games
Hmm.
that always kind of test the boundaries of like technology and reality and like this fantasy world. He's
Hmm.
always kind of blended that all together. It's just I don't know how many other games he's going to make because he's getting older, and I
Hmm.
think you should really kind of embrace where his head is at right now is what he's thinking, because it's going to change with the next game that he makes. Potentially, hopefully, he makes another game. It's going to get a little. If this is what he wanted to do right now, what's his next game? Like, what is he thinking about next? Like, that's what I'm interested in.
I
That's why I
hope
want to give it a chance.
I hope Kojima-san goes back to games similar to Metal Gear,
Yeah,
because that is his bread and butter. Like that's
I
what
know,
he's good at.
I know.
You know, he tried to do a different game.
Yeah,
You know, they gave him all the creative freedom in the world.
yeah.
But I think the next game, I'm hoping that he makes it similar to Metal Gear.
I hope so. I really do. I hope that he does, because that game itself, like it's just it's very interesting what he does.
Hmm.
Like he plays a lot with the idea of like these games where it's just not only just the game itself, but there's an underlining story. There's something that he's trying to tell you within the actual game itself. So it's interesting.
Hmm.
There's always something else that's lingering in the background with his games. There's
I
always
ho-
something.
I'm hoping it gets better for you. You know, like we can give
I
it
hope
some
so
good
too.
news next time. I
I
hope
hope
you
so
prove
too.
me wrong. I hope you prove me wrong, and you're like, you know what? I changed my mind about this game. Something amazing happened.
Yeah.
I don't think so though. I doubt it. But I guess we'll find
Well,
out in the next
well,
episode.
well. I don't want to compare this to No Man's Sky,
Hmm.
but I'm getting that No Man's Sky already. That fatigue
Hmm.
when you played that game and when I played that game, it's so much promise to it. But what you're doing just kind of is a little monotonous. It's a little boring. I don't know if it's enough. Now, I'm not comparing the two.
Hmm.
I'm just giving you an example of like one game that was going to have a lot of promise to it. And this game doesn't kind of do that. It just really gives you everything. And it's just like, okay, let me see if you want to play this game. Like it tests you. It's almost as if the game is like testing you, testing your patience, because that's what he's doing. Maybe,
To see it. To,
dude, you know what? You know what?
what?
I think I got it. I think what he's doing is he's testing these people that are playing this game
Hmm.
to see how much stress he can put on a player
He wants to see
to
your breaking point.
to
Like he
see
wants
if
to see how much
to,
it takes to get to that
yes,
level where you snap, where it's so peaceful.
until that point of, do you continue and finish the game,
Yeah.
or I'm going to throw so much at you,
Hmm.
do you have enough to be able to play this game? Because that's kind of what your character does. He has to endure all this stuff in order to basically build these bridges of parts of the United States and get it back to connected. So it's like it's almost as if the game is kind of like it's like a like it's kind of like real meta, where it's trying to tell you like, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get easier. Do you have the ability to continue playing this game? Because this is what it is. We're not hiding anything from you.
Just return it, man. Just stop playing. Return it. You know, I'm curious. Like for the reviews, what has it
Yeah.
gotten? Like, I'm interested. I'm gonna do some clickety clacking just to
Do
see. Just,
do it.
just
Do the computer moves. I would say it's kind of it's in between. I would say it's like it's very decisive.
so I got
It's
82% on Metacritic.
okay.
What sites do you like? Like, do you normally use for
I do,
reviews?
I don't do the review stuff. You know that.
You
You
don't.
tell me.
Okay, let me check. Let me check.
Kotaku's
Games.
normally a good one too.
I'm checking out GameSpot. Let's see what.
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
whoa! They gave it 9 out of 10. I don't trust.
Well,
I don't.
I don't trust that.
Well, give me a break. Okay. Wow. So the critics love this game.
Okay.
That is interesting.
So overall, it's high.
Yeah, it got a very high review. I just want to check one more spot. Whoa! What was that?
Well,
Technical difficulties.
So this
I'm
is what
okay.
happens. This
I'm
is what
okay.
happens when you have a live mic.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm okay.
You all right?
All
Did
good.
you
Yeah.
fall off? Did you
No,
fall
I'm
off the
good.
chair?
Something fell off. The reviews
The
surprised me
reviews.
so much. I I flew off the chair. That's what that was. You don't even need a
Okay.
sound effect. There's
Oh,
a sound effect right there for
that's perfect.
you. Let me try one more spot.
Okay.
Okay, Polygon. Let me see.
Okay. That's a good one.
Death Stranding is a terrible story, but a wonderful puzzle.
Wow.
That's the headline. And
I don't think they give scores. I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Polygon doesn't.
I don't see
They
a
don't give
score.
scores. They don't give scores. They have it based on like a like kind of like a barometer of like
Mhm.
enjoyment and stuff like that. They actually changed their
Hmm.
score because there's no actual number.
Interesting.
I think it's like a symbol, like a trophy or like a something like that. Different emblems.
One more reviewer.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm just really curious. I was trying to see what Eurogamer thought of it.
Hmm.
Trying to see if they gave it a score or not.
I don't know. I don't know if they. I haven't. You know, honestly, yeah. I don't really. The only one that I know that doesn't do the scores is Polygon, but I don't know if
Anyways,
Eurogamer
yeah,
does.
I'm really surprised. It got like really high reviews. I'm thinking it's because it's probably been hyped up so much, and
Yeah.
It's a Hideo Kojima game.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of surprised. Maybe the story is so awesome, and that's why it has that high review. I don't know.
Dude, there's so much talent, man. You have like real actors
Yeah.
that are motion captioned in this game that are just it's unreal. The amount of talent that they have in this game is just crazy.
Hmm.
Like having Norman Reedus, it's kind of okay. It's kind of weird that your character needs to take a shower, he needs to poop, and he
Hmm.
needs to pee when you go to your private room. And you know how Kojima's always been kind of a little risky with his stuff where he shows a little skin. You remember Sniper Wolf
Hmm.
where like she was very voluptuous,
Hmm.
I would say.
Yes.
And these characters are like Silent. Remember in Metal Gear Solid 5,
Hmm.
Silent was like basically wearing a bikini.
Yeah.
So he's always been really risky. It's a little weird for me because your main character is a guy,
Hmm.
and there's parts where your character has to take a shower, and the camera doesn't pull away from that. It shows you that he's taking a shower.
Is it
It's
full frontal? Did they show?
no, of course not, of course not. But
Okay, that's good.
they do show his butt, and they do
Oh.
show his body, and like he kind of winks at the camera, which is kind of funny. When you're in his private quarters, he'll look and he'll point at things
Hmm.
to like for you to look at. So he'll point at things in front of you that's in front of him that he sees that he wants you to look at, and he winks at the camera.
Do you think
There's
that's
some
necessary? Like, did you have to watch Norman Reedus shower? Like,
no, it doesn't. You don't need to have that in there. You don't need to do
I
that.
mean, I think he's a great actor. I love him in The Walking Dead, but like,
Yeah,
I don't care to
he's
see him
great.
shower in a video game. Like,
He has to do that. Like if you do that, if you shower, you get samples of your bodily, like your body itself,
mhm.
and you can use those as weapons. Like you get grenades that you can craft.
I wouldn't shower then.
Well, you also when you poop, you get number two grenades. That's what they call them. They call the
Wow,
grenades number two. I I
I love
I,
poop jokes, but
I
I
shit
can't
you
believe it.
not.
They put it in a video game. Like, that's crazy.
It's weird. It's weird. So, anyways,
Anywho,
going back to the actual game itself,
mhm.
going back to everything. My overall kind of perspective of this game, I don't really
Hate
see a
it.
game. I don't. Well, that's easy. I can easily do that.
Mhm.
Like I can easily be, oh, this game is terrible. I don't want to play it, or it's an incredibly ambitious, outgoing game that you should play.
Mhm.
I can't do either one because right now when I play games, I'm always thinking of like, oh, this is a cool idea. What if you do this? You know, like I'm always pulling stuff away from it because that's just I can't stop doing that. And in this game, I see so many little things that could be cool.
Mhm.
I it's just that's where it takes me out of it because it's just like you're giving me all this. The game is not holding your hand. It is not trying to tell you, oh, you're going to be doing this. It's going to get easier. The game really makes a point to make it hard for you, and I think that's the point. I think people are not going to like it because it's not traditional,
Hmm.
but it requires you to go through this amount of like torment, kind of continuously, in order to see what happens. So I'm a little afraid, because if I want to finish the game and the ending sucks, then I'm just gonna be like, well, this is a complete waste of time. I can see the what the game was. I can appreciate the art direction, the concept of it, the lighting, the environment. I can get all of that. But if your story sucks, what's the point?
Right.
Like, you can have a great game, a great, incredibly beautiful, hyper realistic game, but if there's no story to it, who cares?
Hmm. Forget
That's my point.
about it. Forget
Forget
about
about it.
it. So totally change in subject, but
Dude, it's so funny, man, because we did the same thing with the previous episode with Call of Duty, and this one is just one of those ones that I think is just so different that I don't know if I'm at that point where I don't want to play the game anymore. Now, granted, I rented it and I'm $7 in now,
Mhm.
so every day that I have it is $3.
Oh heck,
So,
I would play it tomorrow and return it, man. Just
well, I'm at my 3 day. I'm at my 3 day today. So right now, when I'm recording it, for me it's 9:30.
Mhm.
So if every day after that is $3, so
Man,
how
I would
far do I go into it? Do I
I would
do I
give it one more day. I don't know,
Okay.
it's up to you, but I would give it one more day, and then I
Yeah.
mean, if something happens and you feel like you need to finish it, I guess
Right.
you should keep it till you finish it. But if you're still feeling the same tomorrow as you're playing it, I would
Yeah.
return it so you don't waste any more money. And
Okay.
it's so sad to say that.
I I don't know, man.
I
I
was
think
hoping so much.
I'm gonna keep it until I get 20 hours in.
Okay.
Or I might return it back and then finish the versions that I have and just put them on YouTube, and then post whatever I have in there.
Mhm.
Because I'm pretty sure I'm up to 7 hours. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I'm at 7 hours at least, and I want to at least get to 20. If I can at least get to 20 hours, I'll at least know, because I've heard that the story actually opens up a little bit more when you're about a little bit close to halfway point in the game. So I kind of want to see if that's true. So I don't
Well,
know.
for your sake, I hope it does.
I hope so, man, because I'm really, I want my motorcycle back.
Mhm.
That's what I want. I want a vehicle,
You don't want a
and
hat? You don't want a nice hat
I
for your troubles?
I could care less about my hat, man. I care less about it, and I can't do anything with it because I don't care about it. I don't care.
Mhm.
Like, that doesn't do anything for me. If that hat can construct itself into a motorcycle, then that's great, and then I'll wear the hat all the time.
Or you know, it would have been cool if that had like made you invisible, or if it had some kind of attribute where it did
Maybe,
something.
or
Maybe it
like
could have made up
or
for the
or
motorcycle.
like or like a Solid Snake, where he had his bandana. They gave him
That was cool.
unlimited ammo.
Yeah, just go back to Solid Snake, or make something
I don't
very
know.
similar to it.
I don't know. I'm really on the fence with this, but I want to give it its chance. I want to, because it took so long for them to make this, and it's a passion of what he wanted to create,
Hmm.
and I want to acknowledge that, because I don't want to be just negative, because that's easy. Anyone can do that.
Hmm.
You can be negative and you just be like, oh, it sucks,
Yeah.
whatever. Just go on, play something else. I want to actually give it its due, because yet I did not purchase the game. I did that on a point, because that game itself, I don't know if it's worth me spending $60 for,
Hmm.
because I can pick and choose what I want to play and what I don't. I'm not getting paid for this. This is coming out of my own money. So
Hmm.
it's like, if I got like a free review copy of it, then that's totally different. Then I would
Right.
throw myself into the game, and I feel like I have to finish the game no matter what. Now, my opinion's not going to change, but my point of that is that I don't want to invest that $60 when I don't know if I'm going to get that money's back
Hmm.
by playing that game. That's the whole thing.
I hear you.
And that's what people should do. They should exercise their right with playing games by using the measures of being able to potentially rent the game, or wait until it goes on sale, or you can lend it. Someone else can lend it to you that they played the game and they finished it. Things like that.
You know
Or you
what?
can just not even play it, or you can just watch it online.
Um, to whoever's listening to us, I'm
Yes,
interested in your comments. Like if you had a chance
please.
to play this game, like what are your thoughts? Did you enjoy it? Do you agree
Yeah,
with what Tony is saying? I'm interested in reading
yeah.
the. I mean,
That would be great because at least I can be able to give us some sort of like gauge of like if I'm saying things that are the if I'm feeling this, if other people are feeling the same way that I'm feeling, because it seems like it's just not. It seems like there's so much there that it's all that stuff is stripped away, and it's just you carrying stuff, and you're basically like a courier going from one point to another, like
mhm.
a delivery boy. And I'm like, wow, that doesn't sound fun to me. When we were first talking about it, that's exactly what we talked about,
Yep,
and the concerns were correct.
yep. We were
It's
dead on,
weird.
man. I think like if we can listen to what we were talking about and compare to what you're talking about today, I think we
Yeah.
were really close. Like our concerns were valid. I mean, you can
Yes.
point it out. I mean, you basically pointed it out more so since you've been playing it, but
Right.
it's
Right.
unfortunate. I wish you proved us wrong.
I wish it would have been different, but you know what? Honestly, I want to at least give it that time. If I can give it that time, and if things don't, then I'll come back and say, listen, I put 20 hours in, and it's not worth me spending any more time because I don't see it. If there's new updates for it, then maybe I'll come back to it. But I've heard that there's going to be updates to the actual menu and stuff like that, so I could potentially wait until that happens because I'm not going to lose sleep over this game. I'm just going to be like, okay, it's I can see what it's doing. It's great to look at. The initial intro of the game is unbelievable, man. It's so cool.
Nice.
But it's just like right after that, you're in the game and then you're playing it. And you're just like, why can't I do the things that you just showed me in the very beginning? Like
Mhm.
it shows you in the beginning, you're on a motorcycle, and I got that motorcycle and I lost it. That's what I'm
That
furious
was a funny
about,
story. It was probably infuriating as you were playing, but
dude.
like when you told the story, it's pretty
I can't
funny.
I can't wait until I post that because I'm gonna when we come back I'll tell you exactly what episode it is and what time, and you can actually watch it while we're. That's what we should do.
Yeah.
When I post this on YouTube, I'll tell you exactly what episode it is and what time it's at, the time mark on it,
Okay.
and we'll start it from there. And you can see my frustration right on there. And I didn't edit. I'm not going to edit that part. I'm going to do it on purpose and leave that part in where I get stuck in the water for about maybe 5 minutes. I couldn't do anything.
You know what you should do too?
Yeah.
I watched some of your videos where you put no commentary. You should
Yes.
add commentary. I would have loved to hear what you were thinking.
I
When you're
you
going
know
through that part.
I only do that just because I like to actually play the games. I do that on purpose. I don't think I've ever kind of voiced that, but I attempted to do a commentary on Mass Effect 3 when the game first came out.
Hmm.
I attempted to do that where I would talk while the game was playing, but when their dialogue would pop up, I would stop myself from talking because I don't like people that talk over the game while there's dialogue because I don't want to hear that person talk. I want to hear the actual game. There's a purpose on why there's an audio part to it instead of the person inserting themselves in every part of the conversation. Because people that do that, hey, that's fine, but it seems like it's more of the personality of that person that you're listening to other than the actual gameplay.
I don't
And
think there's
I don't.
anything wrong with that. I think
No,
you
there's
should
nothing.
try it
There's
again
nothing.
like that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But I just me the reason why I do that is because I want to hear everything in the game. I want to hear what they're doing.
Mhm.
I don't want to hear another voice in there. But this one might actually lend itself to that because there's so much time in between of you doing a mission that there's no dialogue.
Yeah, you need to add dialogue. That's why I'm suggesting it because
Maybe
it's
you
so
might be right.
quiet, and you said there's no music, and he keeps talking to himself.
Yeah,
So maybe
yeah.
instead of that, we can get your thoughts on what's going
Well,
on while you're playing.
that would be boring. Like I would get bored of listening to my own voice because there's nothing I'm gonna say because I've been doing the same missions or I've been doing the same type of things over and over again. Like it's repetitive. It's already become repetitive in such a short amount of time,
Hmm.
and that's not good.
You sold me on not even wanting to play the game. Like I don't even want to touch it. That's
well,
that's how bad it's gotten.
what you can do is just when you watch the video on YouTube and you watch the actual part in
Mhm.
there, we'll go through it and you can actually just listen to it. And anyone that listens to this, I'll tell you exactly what episode it is. It's on YouTube channel. It would be youtube.com/level1tester. That will be on there, and then once I put the actual episode into it, we'll be there, and then we could be able to talk about
Can you
it.
link
I'll
it?
tell you.
Are you able to link it with this podcast, like when you post it on
Yeah,
YouTube? Like
yeah,
have a
yeah,
direct link so
yeah.
in the
Well,
description.
in the I've posted it, like all our stuff now is on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So all of the audio portion of that is there,
Mhm.
and then I even put it on YouTube as well as an actual just audio with just the actual just the raw audio of it.
Mhm.
So I'll still do that, but I'll also put the game in there, not as a podcast, but I'll put the game separate, and it'll be like they're all about like an hour some episodes because the game is so long, so it's
Mhm.
like hours of episodes. But I'll tell you exactly what episode it is and what time it's at, so then you can go to exactly that point and I can show you exactly what I'm talking about, and you can see the frustration. It You could tell how frustrated I am because there's nothing I can do. Nothing I could do. I was stuck on that water for like 5 minutes. I couldn't. My character couldn't even kill himself. I couldn't drown myself. I wanted to just drown myself
Mhm.
so I can at least die and I can respawn back
Yeah,
to where I was.
you can
But I
die with
couldn't even do
dignity.
that.
You can,
Yeah, I couldn't do that. So I just had to close the game. I had to close the game out and restart it, and then at least it put me back into the other mission when I first started. So at least it gave me that, so I didn't lose my stuff. But I didn't know that when you're in the water,
Mhm.
you good luck trying to hit the menu option because it doesn't give you the menu option. It gives you the options for the controller of like the buttons, the layout, and all that stuff. The menu gets taken away from you when you're in the water. So I couldn't even hit the main menu or the menu option to go into like potentially to quit out of the game or maybe save it or quit.
Mhm.
It didn't even allow me to do that. And you'll see that because I even tried to do that. Can't do it.
I would have raged quit at that
Yeah,
point.
I was
I'm
so
surprised you
furious.
didn't like that. Kudos
Well,
to you for.
I did rage quit. I quit and then I had to go back to it because I thought I was going to lose my progress because I don't know if the game like you can like you can stop walking for a second and you can kind of rest,
Mhm.
and then you can have it where it saves your point of where you're at.
Dude, I just thought of something. You didn't even
Yeah.
mention. Isn't there like a baby in a capsule and you have to take care of it and stuff?
Oh my god. I don't see that's a
You didn't
whole
even talk
see
about that once.
I didn't even talk about that because that's a whole nother thing. It's it's interesting, but even the concept of this baby,
Mhm.
it's just the game doesn't tell you. It tells you the reason why they have it, but it's the technology is so advanced on why they even have that. It kind of frustrates me because I'm like, if you're the world can do this where they use these infant babies are basically these kind of conduits to sensing these BTs, these spirits.
Mhm.
So there's a reason for for you to have that. But I'm just like, if they can do this, why do I need to carry all this crap? Why can't you just grab the stuff instantaneously? Why can't you use like you can obviously travel. There's obviously vehicles you can trek around stuff. Why can't they just have a plane that goes really fast, grabs your shit, and then takes off to where it needs to go? Like you can be quick about it. Like this, their technology seems to be that it can do so much. And I'm
Maybe
just
they
like,
don't have
why
the
don't
resources. Maybe they don't have enough.
okay, well you can't tell me that they can't build a robot that can do the same thing. They can have infant babies that can understand that can sense these other spirit things. It's just like okay, what else can you do? The game can do so much. It creates grenades based off your feces. Come on, man. Like the game could do anything.
Yeah, they
The
didn't do
world
that.
can
I
do
guess
anything,
they didn't
but
do that.
but they can't grab they need you to carry materials from one point to another, and it takes you literally 10 minutes to go 2 miles, and that's 10 minutes in real time. I'm not talking about where you get on something like an elevator or anything like that. Your ass is walking. Like there's nothing about that. You're just walking.
So, what are your We've been bashing this game for more than an hour. What are your final? So, what are your final thoughts until the
You
next
have to
episode?
you have to cut me off, man, because you're gonna give me more reasons for me to continue talking about this game.
What the last thought? What's your last
Yes,
final thought on this?
my my Jerry Springer final thought
Yeah,
on this is I feel like
smashing the
I
game.
I can't do that because if I do that, then I'll have to pay for it.
Yeah,
I
you don't
don't
want
want
to
to
do
do that.
that.
Obviously, I don't want to do that. I feel like I love what Kojima does. I love that he has creative freedom to do whatever he wants. This game is probably the one that's the probably the hardest for me to play because it's not only different, it's challenging because the gameplay is just it's simple, but that it being simple is so frustrating because I want the game to have more, and it doesn't seem like it's giving you that. It seems like it's like, okay, take it for what it is.
Mhm.
And that's where I'm just like, I don't know if that's going to give me enough to be able to continue playing the game. Right now, I'm still on the fence about it, and I'm not sure. So
Okay, so you give it 1 out of 10. One.
I'm kind of like, I would say, I'm not doing your stupid thing. I would say it would be maybe, I'm at maybe 30%. That's it.
Mhm.
I'm at 30% of the game, 30% of my attention to continue playing the game. That's what I would say.
All right. I think that's a good final thought, and I guess until the
I
next episode,
I guess, man. I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
it's that river. I think that river part scarred you, probably. It
It
messed
did,
you up.
man. It honestly did. And after that, I was just like, why can't I just get the bike back? Why can't I construct it? You can do everything else. Why can't I just construct it? I would spend all my time and all my efforts to do that, so I can at least construct this motorcycle back, so I can be able to just play it, continue doing it that way. I would spend all my time doing it. So, what about you? What do you got for me?
I can't top that, man. After all that,
Okay.
intense.
Your audio sounds great. I'm sure
Thank you.
everybody appreciates that.
I hope so. I'm really excited, and so hopefully from here on out, our episodes should sound a lot
Yeah,
nicer
yeah.
than the previous ones we've recorded so far.
I know, man. Like it's so good. Just as far as just being able to hear you, like everything is just great on both ends. Like
Hmm.
you notice it, I notice it. Everybody else is gonna notice it too.
Hmm.
So um, I'll just leave it at that. It's I think it's worth your attention to at least try it out and at least look at what they're doing because when you see it, you're just like, wow, that there is something there.
Hmm.
That's my point. There is something there.
So in the comments section, leave what game you want us to bash next for an hour, and we will tear it up for you, like we've
Well,
tore up,
I mean,
we've,
well, I mean, we
like
kind of
we've
have.
tore up Death Stranding.
I mean, it's really more me, but I'm making valid
No,
points.
yeah, you
I'm
are,
not.
and at
I'm
least you
not.
tried it.
I'm,
I applaud it. I applaud you. You're at least trying it. You're trying to be open minded about it.
yes. Yes.
You know what
I'm
kind of game
trying.
it is. It's not like
I'm trying.
yeah, you're trying.
I'm trying. So I just,
You took one
I
for the
think
team.
I definitely am. I'm definitely am, and that's kind of the point of like what we talked about too. It's just like this is what you want to be able to do, where you want to try something that's outside of your norm,
Hmm.
and something like this is definitely one of those because it does it does actually test you. So, but you know, once again, man, this is kind of one of those things that we kind of like are rambling again. But you know what? That's where the best stuff actually happens, where we're just
Hmm.
kind of just going off of what's happening, and it's just like we didn't do anything last week, and we're kind of catching up. Holidays are around, and spending time with family and all that stuff. So it's everything's gonna be posting very quickly. So we'll get back on track and doing everything where I'll have all the stuff all finished, and then I'll put it up for let's shoot for Sunday and have it all up for it, and we'll start having all this stuff a little bit more structured, and we'll start to get to what we wanted to do too. So we're like, this is 6 episodes in, and we still haven't actually got to the core of what we want, but we'll
I
get
think
there.
we're doing it, man. We're always talking about that and making it more structured. Maybe this is what it's all about. Maybe like 5 years from now, we're gonna make it more structured. Maybe this is it.
Hey,
You know,
hey man, maybe by then we'll have some sponsors, and we can be able to have some of that, that fat money coming in, where you get paid for everything you do, and then we can sell out so quickly.
no, I don't know about selling out, but I wouldn't mind doing this more. Like if we can do that, and if I
Absolutely,
can do this full
absolutely.
time, like that would be awesome.
Dude, that'd be
I would
great.
not mind that at all.
I want to do what you were talking about and have somebody else on there too, so that gives us a little bit more. And I'm actually gonna start. I'm gonna start actually doing that with people here that are local. I'm gonna try to grab some actual people that are actually working in the actual industry and see if they can be able to come along with us, and we can talk about stuff like this, or maybe talk about something specific, so we can actually get another perspective. So then that way, it kind of opens up the forum a little bit more.
I think that's a good idea. I also want to get, like maybe I can get one of my brothers on
Yeah,
the podcast or one of my
yeah,
friends just to hear, just so we can get a different perspective,
yeah,
either on
yeah,
this game or something else, or just in general, just a new
yeah.
voice maybe. I think
Yeah,
that'll be
that'll be
fun.
yeah, that'd be great. We'll shoot for that, and then we'll have something like that. But it's everything's gonna kind of evolve into this of what we're doing. So it's always gonna get better. And now that you sound great, why don't you finish us out because you sound perfect.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. I just want to thank everybody who's listening. If they're still listening past an hour and 23 minutes, thank you for
I hope
listening.
so.
Oh, I wanted to give a shout out. Who was the you said that somebody was listening to us on SoundCloud and they
Yes,
had us as I don't know what you
there
said exactly.
there's several people that have actually like we've been getting quite a bit of traction on that. Not so much this week because we didn't have anything posted.
Right.
But there is a person that's our top listener. His name is Dark, and it's just Dark. And
Shout out to
he
Dark.
has, yes,
Thank you for listening to
he
us.
he or she, or whatever you identify. You can't say one or the other anymore. Just whoever you are, thank you. We really do appreciate it because it does actually, it's the people that are paying attention and they're listening to us.
Yep. Shout out to Dark. Thank you for listening to us.
Yes.
Thank you for
Yes.
whoever else is listening to us.
There, there.
I
I'm sure there are other people, but I haven't been able to get the actual. I don't think there's anyone listening to us on iTunes. So anyone that actually listen to us, please, send out anyone, tell a friend, so they can tell a friend, so we
Mhm.
can, have more people because we're starting out slow and we're just starting with just the two of us. So it's eventually hopefully get better,
For
get
sure.
easier.
Well, thanks for listening to us. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed hearing your. Why are you laughing, man? I'm trying to do like a serious outro, and you just
Because I
ruined
don't
it.
know,
I'm done. I
because
don't
I don't
want to
know
do
if
it anymore.
I don't know if you're being real or you're being
No,
condescending.
I was being really serious. Like, like I was being genuine, and you just completely
I
crushed it.
ruined it.
I
I
was gonna
ruined it.
say
Okay.
I was really interested in hearing your thoughts on the game, and
Yeah.
I think this was a good episode.
Yeah.
But until the next time, thank you so much, and then we'll play the new outro when we're done.
There you go. All
Take
right.
care, you guys.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. Until next time.